This is a steel mill, is being converted into qualified molten steel. Although it looks like a cup of coffee, but its internal temperature is as high as 1700 degrees Celsius. As the world's largest metal, in 2024, global steel production is close to 1.9 billion tons. Are you curious? Most of these steels are transformed from iron ore step by step. Depending on the type and size of iron ore, steel mills also pre-process them differently. For loose and powdery iron ore, need to be roasted at high temperature in 17 years to form sintered ore with certain strength and permeability to solve the problem of easy blockage of direct feeding, poor permeability, and low reduction efficiency. In addition to iron ore, another important raw material for blast furnace iron making is artificial synthetic refined fuel coke. Its production requires coking coal with special adhesion and coking properties as raw materials in the coke oven, isolated from air, heated to over 1000 degrees Celsius through thermal decomposition to remove volatile components such as coal gas and tar, only the fixed carbon and minerals in the coking coal. When it is officially used in blast furnace iron making, the steel plant will load the burden from the top of the blast furnace, forming an alternate column of coke layer and iron-bearing burden to ensure the permeability inside the blast furnace. Inside the blast furnace, besides the most iron-bearing burden and a small amount of coke, there are also a small amount of limestone, dolomite, and other solvents for slagging. When the blast furnace is filled with materials, it can be from the tuyere at the bottom of the blast furnace, heated to 1100 to 1300 degrees. The hot air will react violently with the coke to have a violent combustion reaction, thus making the temperature in the furnace, thereby causing the furnace hearth to heat up rapidly. Meanwhile, the carbon dioxide produced by combustion moves upward after reacting with the upper coke, generating the core reducing agent carbon monoxide. Under the action of high temperature, and reducing agent continually accumulates at the bottom of the blast furnace. When the amount of molten iron reaches a certain level, open the tap hole at the bottom of the blast furnace. The molten iron in the furnace is transferred to the steelmaking workshop to make steel. The core equipment of the steelmaking workshop is a converter. Fill the converter with pig iron, scrap steel, and add an appropriate amount of lime for slagging, and fluorite, which can reduce the melting point of slag. High-pressure pure oxygen can be blown on the surface to make oxygen and impurities in the molten steel to undergo a violent oxidation reaction to make the molten steel in the furnace boil violently, making the lighter slag float on the surface. Therefore, when steelmaking in a converter, to prevent impurities from re-entering the steel, after the molten steel in the furnace meets the requirements, the factory also needs to, according to the target steel grade, refine the molten steel, which means adding some alloy materials, such as manganese iron, silicon iron, chromium iron, nickel plates, etc., to precisely adjust the content of specific elements. The refined high-temperature molten steel can be cast into continuous casting billets by a continuous casting machine. After the continuous casting billet is cooled, the steel mill can, for further rolling. This process requires heating the billet to the austenite zone with the best plasticity. Afterwards, these heated billets can be rolled through the rolling mill to perform multiple rolling passes. That is, use a pair of rollers to rotate and extrude the billet, to reduce the cross-section, increase the length, and change the shape. After the billet is rolled to the required size, the irregular parts at both ends can be cut off. Cut the remaining billets to the specified length for further cutting. After these cut billets have cooled down, the steel mill can mark the material properties to identify the material properties of the billet. After that, these billets can be further processed or sold to customers.